Thank you both for traveling to see us today. That was really nice of you. I appreciate it. You know how busy your days are, so I really appreciate it. So, to kind of refresh your memory, I wanted to go back and remind you how it kind of started with your plan last time. You might remember that I did a little research since I hadn't met you both before and wasn't really that familiar with your organization, and I had kind of gone through and started with some adjectives that explained iHi to me. I started with exchange, and started with exchange equals collaboration and happiness, because that's what your employees and you probably wanted for each other, and where you worked when you weren't at iHi, and came up with that cafe, and I had those words all circled. Then after we had our meeting, I started another list, and it was things that we had all discussed. And at the top of that list was quality of life, and that was a quotation that Belita had. And then I also had a couple other words, and that was edgy and progressive and welcoming, and that was what your president and CEO had. And I had a slew of other words and comments, and those were things that you and your colleagues had said to me. And I went home right after that meeting and started to work on your design. And it really struck a chord with me, because I thought, you know what, you're really designing this space. I'm just starting a space plan. And I really had never thought that before. And as an interior design student, I've always thought, I'm designing this, and that's really not the case. You are. And so I really want to take a look at this plan and take a look at it that way. This is what you've come up with, and I've really just taken a pen to a piece of paper. And let's kind of walk through the space just like we did last time, and start at the entryway and take a look at it as though you're coming to work at 8 o'clock, or maybe a guest is coming to the space, or maybe a board member. And one of the things that's changed with your design is one of your colleagues mentioned that you should have a secure entry when you come into the space. So you'll notice that we have a vestibule at the top, and that your entry now requires card access. If you don't have a security card when you come in, you're going to be able to see right to your receptionist desk. Your receptionist will be right here at the entrance. When you come into this space, it's going to be a welcome center, and that's one of the things that your CEO asked for, a welcoming space. How do I envision this space? Might be different than you, but I kind of envision it as a concierge space. All the things that your guests are going to be looking for when they come in. You might recall that we talked about having a beverage center here, that below a work surface that you'll have a beverage station that would have cold drinks, would have healthy drinks that would kind of reinforce that kind of IHIE healthy image, that above that counter that you would have warm drinks as far as coffee. There would be a wall mural there that would kind of, again, reinstate your logo. You have a coat closet that's up here, one of the other things that you need for your employees and your guests. But the other things that we didn't talk about before, what are your guests going to need when they're waiting? A place to charge their phone. The other things they're going to need, an umbrella possibly when they go back in the rain. Again, quality of life things that you're possibly going to need for your guests while they're waiting. As we come out of this reception area, the first thing that you're going to have on the right is that large conference room for 30 people. One of the things that Belita talked about was walls that aren't there, possibly movable walls. There's a line of wall products called nano walls, and this is just a line that represents a large conference room from the open office. So this really isn't a wall right here. This completely goes away. I want you to envision this space as a very large space, but imagine one large conference table that splits in half. That way, as your board is talking, the person who's giving their lecture that day can actually walk through the middle of two tables. Those tables will come right together and then can walk apart. That way you can do a figure 8. This open office area, as we talked about before, this could be a heads down area. So this is one large space right here. If we were to go ahead and turn left, one of your colleagues talked about having the ability to meet guests who come in unannounced and not have to walk around your space. I believe it was your IT manager. He said, I don't like having to go around and look for conference rooms. Well, now your design features that. You have 2 spaces here. This is large enough for a table for 4, or maybe a sofa and 3 chairs. You'll have whiteboards, again, charging stations, all right here. They won't have to look for that. So your design now features that. As you go a little bit further, you'll see you have an elevator that will take you to the 2nd and 3rd floor. I've nicknamed that your sky high elevator. Here on the right-hand side are your first of 8 offices. One of the things that your CEO asked for was edgy, progressive, and welcoming. And he said, And he was really adamant about that. And one of the things that really struck me when I walked away was it's the only time I've ever met with anybody that when they talked about it, they pulled out pictures right then and there. That never, ever happens, ever. And he showed us some pictures, and then he said, I don't even have to have a door in my office. I like it when people can come and just talk to me right then and there. And what I envisioned right then was that, well, what if Alita's coming in at 8 o'clock and she's on her way to get her coffee, and he says, hey, Alita, would you grab me a cup of coffee and, oh, a cinnamon roll? She's like, get your own cinnamon roll. Well, what if there's another situation? I mean, that's great that he can do that, but what if he has a telephone call and it's a family emergency? He can't close his door. He then has to get up and he has to walk around. What if these are assumed at the time? Then he's got a real issue. So that maybe isn't the best scenario. So I started to think about what would work out best. And I discovered something. Imagine if you've got doors that slide one right in behind one another, like a Soji screen, a glass Soji screen. You can see completely behind them. But as Alita's walking through, she can totally see him. Now he's got that call, or he needs to talk with Alita. He just goes ahead and pulls those screens, glass, see all the way through them, close right here. But he's got only a 36-inch wide glass door. Progressive. No one else in the campus is going to have it. And it fills his needs. Every office would have those glass OG screens. They'll work in any environment. They're going to be timeless. But again, at GM Progressive, if we continue to go around and we look past the sky-high elevator, right here, you have a niche in your wall. Perfect for anything. Guess what it's for? Your daily meetings. We looked at some photos in your meeting. You had some, I'll call them plexiglass boards that were 2 feet wide and 4 feet tall. This is a 10-foot wide niche that's 2 feet deep. Now you've gone ahead and you've more than doubled the size that you need for your meetings. They could be dry erase boards, they could be magnetic, they could be cork boards, they could be whatever you like. You don't have to use those for those meetings. One of the obstacles that I observed when we walked around your space that day is that your current design, those meetings are held in walkways. Not anymore. With your new design, your walkways go all the way through here. Now your Scrum meetings can be held here. It doesn't have to be for your Scrum meeting. This could be a breakout space, because remember, your breakout spaces are all throughout your workstation areas, but now they can be here. And as a benefit, as your guests come through, they don't have to see that top secret information. It's all right here. But right now, you've got Scrum meetings that can be held right outside each one of your private offices if needed. Just an added feature. And in some of these areas, you now have coat closets, or if you don't want it as a coat closet, it could be an area for dry erase boards, things like that. You'll also notice as we go through now your open office areas where more than 80 workstations can fit, we come across your first small conference rooms. At the end of 2014, I sat through a meeting with Zeke Turner. He's the founder of Main Street Property Group. And for the last 4 years, the Indiana Chamber Magazine has listed his company as the #1 company in his category, number one for most, what is it? Let me look at my quote here real quick. #1 for companies, medium companies, 75 to 249 in his category for taking care of employees. And as I walk through his space, one of the reasons why I think he does that is because he does things that are a little different. And he's got a conference room in his space that I just think is ingenious. Zeke has, I think now, 8 children. If it's not 8, it's 6. And he has a conference room, and one of the walls, just one of them, is dry erase paint. That's all it is. And it's a conference room that isn't utilized very often in a space. And to go back to that quality of life that Valita likes so much, if we look at this area back here, let's just call this your quality of life center. So it's got your fitness center, it's got a meditation room, a locker room that has big enough for lockers, it has week-long storage, it has a shower, nursing mother's room. Take a look at this conference room. I'm gonna suspect that of all your conference rooms, it's gonna be used the least. What if this has a dry erase board like Zeke's does, and it has a credenza, and you fill it with Tinker Toys? What if Matt, say Matt has a toddler that's sick. He has to stay home with that toddler, take the day off. What if now he can bring that toddler to work? And then go to the doctor's office. Doesn't have to take the day off of work. This could be a quality of life room. What if it only gets used that way once a month? Just an added benefit. It speaks volumes. It goes back to that quality of life that you talked about. Go ahead and just put Tinker Toys in it, hand sanitizer. What's it cost you? It doesn't cost anything at all. Quality of life. Just an added benefit. Something that you don't think about. Could make a new employee. Just makes you different than anybody else. Just added little benefits all the way through. Again, we've got your bathrooms, no changes here. Access on both sides. Little changes to your plan. The other little changes that we have to your plan, if we take a look at it, your design, here we've got your second story. Control plus. We now have 2 stairwells that go up to the second floor. Your training room is a little bit larger. We have men's and ladies' restrooms upstairs, convenience upstairs as well as downstairs. Not a big change, not big restrooms. Sky-high elevator. Love that little thing. And on your third floor, you're going to see these 2 little walls right here. Those are from the walls downstairs. Not a big deal. Your rooftop deck is larger too, only because you remember that when we designed your space that you have the box inside of a box. If you go down College Street, somebody else is doing that right now, I just noticed, so you can kind of see that concept. If you know where 45 degrees is at Mass and College, there was a little, it's like a livery building, it's not very big at all, and you'll see that they're doing just that right now. But you can see that this is very, very large, 4,000 square feet rooftop deck. So your footprint on the first floor is less than 18,000 square feet. This is the same size as your training room. Your training room is that dimension because it allows you to fit. In our last meeting, we talked about how many people you actually sit in a banquet style where people are sitting looking at a lecture just in seat after seat after seat after seat, versus if you're going to have them at training tables. So this is almost the same dimension as it's the same size as the training room plus your exit and your elevator. This is the same size because we're allowing that light to filter down to the rooms below. Great benefit of this, you can have green roof, and now when you have fireworks downtown, you can invite all your family, all your friends, all your clients, everybody you want. Extra. Meditation, exercise, anything. Added benefit. Plus, depending on how your lease is written, you probably aren't going to have to pay anything extra for it. It's just one of the things that we haven't talked about yet. Your plan's very flexible. If we need to make this smaller, make the second floor smaller, I can do that. It's not a big deal. Just all extra benefits. If I didn't say so before, I want to be sure that if I'm not speaking loud enough that you tell me. If you have questions, I want you to be sure to interrupt me. So this is the basic footprint. It's got lots of extra benefits. One of the things I want to be sure that I talk about, these are all open. I did not mention this. This is all glass for the most part. This is all glass for the most part, as much glass as possible. I think that kind of wraps up all of my changes. So I do want to be sure to ask if you have any questions before I exit and let you, skid out for the day.